Hi guys, happy Witchy Wednesday. I totally forgot that it was Wednesday until just now. So, one thing, when I do live sessions, and the derogatory comments come in, you do get reported. So just watch your shit. Alright, so we are back onto the pentagram, which I thought was pretty amazing, which I plan to do a simple wooden bowl. I think that would be really neat to just do with the colors, flip it around, completely do the back, mirror, front, back. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting that it just sends all that negative energy back to people that sent it out. It's a giant cup of coffee. A giant cup of coffee. Thank you, Karen, for my giant Ouija mug I forgot I had. Okay, so part 7, lesson 3. So, just kind of backtracking again just to get, the good stuff. Wow. Alright. Whew, it's warm. Alright, so perhaps you have wondered what the difference is between ceremonial magic and ritual magic. So many people use the term interchangeably as synonyms, and in fact their dictionary definitions are quite similar. So, however, in magical philosophy, there is an important difference. Anyone can do a ritual. So, it can be a magical ritual or a ritual of another kind, such as shaving ritual. Oh, I hate shaving. Wherein you shave yourself according to a certain pattern. So, your day-to-day everything. Waking up, having your coffee, doing whatever it is that you do is a ritual. Just a mundane ritual. So, and their habits. So, after a period of practice, some rituals, such as shaving ritual, become habits. So yes, to break the ritual, that is, to follow an unusual pattern, can cause problems. That's why I think Virgos, especially for myself, I am very set in my ways. If, something isn't going, if I don't wake up by like 8 p.m. or 8 a.m., 8 p.m., 8 a.m. or before, everything just sucks. So that's, it does cause problems. So it can make you feel uncomfortable and can possibly be harmful. So if you don't believe me, try shaving yourself in a different manner than usual. Don't, because you'll cut yourself. But don't be surprised if you end up cutting and nicking yourself in many places. This is an important caveat. Never let your magical rituals become habits. And that's the good thing, because mine have never become a habit. I have ceased the nightly prayers with candles. So now it's just when I light my candles, it's an internal prayer that, I feel like, goes up into the cosmos with the candle. It's lit with, each intention. God, Goddess, the different spirits, the ancestors. So it's pretty good. Always do them with full awareness, even if you have been doing them every day for years. So, my definition of a ceremony is a group ritual. That is, only take one person to do a ritual. It only takes one person to do a ritual, while it takes several people to perform a ceremony. Yeah, that makes sense. Thus, in order to do ceremonial magic, you must have a group of some sort. So, no, not for me. Ever. Although all of the magical techniques in this course will be presented so that they can be performed by the individual ritualist in the future, there will be notes given on how to do some rituals with groups. So this idea leads to the question of the values and drawbacks of groups. So it's kind of going into groups again. So, alright, number 1, camaraderie. The benefits of magical groups are threefold. So camaraderie is number 1. Sometimes being a magician can be a lonely prospect. Kind of. And it is nice to have friends who have similar interests. That is what is so great about the internet. There's so much love and then there's so much hate. So, it's right now, for me, it's a big love-hate relationship, especially because people. It's just people that suck. Alright, 2, specialization. So everyone in a magical group must have similar knowledge to a degree, but no one can be an expert in all fields of occultism. So, that is why people say that I don't claim to be an occult expert, just a specialist. That is what I specialize in. This, the occult. So, just to clear a few things up, for people that have always wondered why I put occult specialist. That's why. So in a group, one person may be a specialist with the tarot, although everyone in the group should be familiar with the tarot. Another a specialist in astrology, another in occult history, and another in ceremony and ritual. So see, you specialize in a certain thing. The occult, the unknown. That is what I specialize in. Ouija, a Ouija specialist. So, thus, the more people you have, the greater the chance that a subject your group needs information on will be known by one of the members. And it's easier these days. I mean, when I was growing up, we did not have we had dial-up, we barely had computers. I mean, we didn't have high-speed internet, we had chat rooms. That was it. So we had to make friends in chat rooms with voice chat. Yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to go into that. So, 3, power. So, in spite of the fact that some people would deny it, the truth is that more people you have, the higher the levels of psychic energy, which can, or may be generated. Well, that's obvious. You know, the more people, the more energy, the will. So, perhaps you have experienced the flow of energy at a rock concert or a football game. Yes, if you have ever been to a concert, you know exactly what that feeling is. Just like I said the other day in the group drum circle, how we all went and sing with each other, and when one person would get off a bit off the beat, the whole entire circle would pick that up. So it's pretty neat. It just shows how in sync everybody was. So this is nothing more than poorly controlled psychic energy. Ooh. Okay. Crap. With magic, we learn how to control this energy via the techniques you have been learning. Obviously, the intensity is increased in proportion in the number of people present. So, further, the amount of energy increases geometrically rather than via simple addition. So this means that if one person generates E amount of psychic energy. So, here we go. This is different. So, 2 people may generate 2E. 3 people may generate 4E. 4 people may generate 8E. 5 people may generate 16E. 6 people may generate 32E. 7 people may generate 64E, etc. So, alright, as you can see, even a few people together can have a stronger effect than a larger number working individually. So, but yeah, it works. How else does it work? From all over the world. If you're doing a ritual like we used to on here, from people all over the world, that is another way it works too. So, where'd I go? Okay, so this, by the way, is not a theory I made up. It is based on Einstein's field theories, and is accepted by most occultists with whom I am familiar. Yes, I love Einstein. So this does not mean, however, that having a group of people will automatically make you successful in your magic. So an individual magician may be far more in control of the psychomagical energy than a group. That's why I work by myself, especially with the Ouija. Sometimes an individual may be more successful than a group for just this reason. So this is also why I wrote above that a group of people may be able to generate more than an individual. Certainly a group of incompetents would not be able to outdo one well-trained magician. So, the energy fields. You have a very good diagram of the number of people, and then we have up here what is being generated, the energy. So, very interesting. Alright, so this brings us to the drawbacks associated with groups. So, I have a close friend, a well-respected author of several books on magical topics, who believes that group workings are obsolete and impractical. I do completely agree with that. This opinion is due to his personal experience with some groups, so I too have experienced much the same. Always, and I do mean always, the problems associated with groups are based on one problem and one problem only: personal psychology, your psychological makeup. So, cliches form and people locked out of the cliches feel hurt and left out. Person A won't work with person B because person B is too A, smart, B, dumb, C, ugly, D, beautiful, or E, other. So somebody institutes plots against the leader. It's just a mess. It's a mess. So somebody wants to change the group so that it fits their image of what the group should be rather than changing himself or herself as to fit in with the group. So it's all so very stupid. I love how just directly and direct he is to the point. So this sort of nonsense has gone on for years between groups too. Various groups calling themselves Rosicrucian all insist that only they are the real ones, and all of the other groups are frauds. So various witchcraft and Wiccan groups involve themselves in some sort of foolishness. So one famous magical group currently has about 5 or 6 people claiming to be the true leader of the organization and that all others are fakes. This disagreement has led to outrageous name-calling and to court cases. That is insane. Court cases? Really? Wow. I can see that. I see that on my Facebook daily. People are just stupid. I'm the warlock of, this. You're not. You're not. Trust me, you're not. Alright, so. Where'd I go? Oh, what can a person who wants to work with a group of others with similar interests do? First, he or she can forget about the whole thing, which is what I would do. Personally, I would do that. So, but if that doesn't work, he or she can start a group from scratch. Then, as more and more people become involved, each person in the tradition of the Freemasons must be accepted by all of the current members of the group before this person is allowed to join. Thus, the people must first meet on a social level before becoming involved on a magical level. So, the group must be a small circle of friends. Some witches claim the size of a magic group should be no more than 13. Hence, 13 is the maximum size of many covens. So, also the goal of all the people in the magical group must be unified. It's very difficult to do. It's very, very difficult to do. So there must be no ulterior motives for any of the people being in the group. So, Israel Regarde strongly suggested that all people involved with occultism should go through psychotherapy. I honestly actually do. For a long time I have felt that this was because he was a Reichian therapist. But because of my experience with many groups, and with the experience told to me by others, I am at the point now where I am inclined to agree with the good doctor. So yeah, it works. Therapy works. It's great. So unfortunately, most of us have neither the time nor desire to go to an analyst. I do, and many people can afford it. Well, try to. Also, there is a wide degree of quality among psychotherapists. How will you know if you have a good one? It takes a lot of time. You have to search for that one. So, one who won't start out by having you locked up for studying the occult. They can do that right now. Anyways, luckily there is an answer. It is a powerful psychotherapeutic and magical technique that can be used, which I call the LOB. Oh. Okay. Okay, the LOB. Alright, here we go. Alright, the LOB, or is that an IOB? Technique is not new, but it is a new interpretation of the traditional Golden Dawn magical techniques and medieval psychological techniques. So the Golden Dawn aspects include a simple version of the formulation of talismanic images and certain banishing techniques. So the medieval psychological technique is commonly called exorcism. Oh, are we getting into an exorcism here? Of course, ever since the movie The Exorcist. Of course. People have become familiar with the idea of exorcism. It is commonly thought of as a way to get rid of demons or devils, if they exist, which may possess possessing a person. Obviously, possessing demons are fairly rare these days, yet in medieval literature they seem to be fairly common. So we must ask ourselves, what happened to them? The conclusion must be that either they have almost totally ceased to bother people, they never existed, or the modern interpretation of these demons is different. I don't believe in possession whatsoever. I think it's a bunch of bullshit. So, well, there is no reason to believe that demons said to possess people in the Middle Ages have changed. So, and with all of that reports of exorcisms during that period, there is little reason to assume that all reports were faulty. So, therefore, we may assume that the demons are being handled in a different manner. So, if you look at the reports of the exorcisms, you must be struck by the similarity between the descriptions of the possessed and people who today would be described as having certain physical or mental problems. So, if you go back and you watch The Exorcist, why was she possessed? What was she longing for? She was possessed by a male demon, but why? She longed for her father. She longed for her father. Mental problem, right there. Daddy issues. That's how that's literally how my psychotherapist would tell me that. So even if we are to assume that some exorcisms did deal with demon possession, it seems that many dealt with a sort of early psychotherapy in the tradition of what is today known as psychodrama. So these techniques are not associated only with medieval Christian philosophy. Similar techniques were used in some initiatic systems. But for our purposes here, the most important thing to know is that in many cases, the exorcisms worked. That's because of religious background, belief, and that's probably basically about it. So the Golden Dawn system of talismanic images is based on a complex technique of visualizations according to a pre-established code of construction. So it is too complex to discuss in its full form here. The idea, however, is to create an image of something which in itself is devoid of form. Thus, justice could be made to have a specific image. So could freedom become a particular angel or archangel. Intolerance could be visualized as a demon. Then, once this image was created, it could be given life of its own to a limited extent, a thought form. So, finally, it could be dealt with as if it were a living, breathing entity like you or me. So, notice that I said that something like intolerance could be given form. Likewise, any quality, good or bad, can be given form. It is the idea, along with the idea that exorcism was a way of getting rid of psychological problems. That is the basis of the I.O.B. technique. So, it really honestly was just a cure for a lot of different, psychological problems that these people did have. What was Emily Rose's psychological problem that she had? She wanted to get away from home. She wanted to go to college. She wanted to be free. It all just makes perfect sense. Alright, a word of warning. It may be that going to a positive, growth-oriented psychotherapist who is not against occult studies may be better for you than attempting the I.O.B. technique. Therapy first, always. Doctors, local physicians, always first. Never magic first, ever. So, this is because the I.O.B. technique is the only thing in this entire course which could be considered dangerous. So, this is for educational purposes only. Thank you. Alright, by this I do not mean that demons might attack you or you might get ill. What I mean is that through this technique you will learn more about your true nature than you may be able to accept. So it is said that over the doors of the ancient mystery schools was seen the phrase, know thyself, right? So really knowing yourself can be the most awe-inspiring and frightening experience imaginable. Very true. Very true. So, if you opt to attempt this technique and find yourself scared, physically ill, or feeling lost, stop immediately. The mind has certain blocks and safeguards which prevent us from learning the innermost truths about ourselves until we are ready. Go slow, be gentle, and be kind to yourself. If you try the system, it is very powerful. So, here we will go on to this technique. So use at your own risk. I'm not responsible for anybody's anything. So just proceed with caution. Make sure that you are using this as just educational purposes only. Seek a therapist first, a doctor if you have mental problems. Like I did. Simple. It really is. It's not that hard. Alright. Okay, so the I in I.O.B stands for identify. So your first and hardest task is this technique is to identify aspects of yourself which you no longer wish to possess. Are you hard-headed, egotistical, self-centered, insecure, indecisive? I beat myself up way too much. So whatever it is, your first task is to identify it. Now at the beginning, this is quite safe, although it might not be too easy to admit to those things which you consider to be your own faults. True. So where'd I go? Later it will become easier to admit your faults on a conscious level, but your unconscious may resist your conscious. So this will be the time to go easy. Never force something if it will not come easily. Work on one thing at a time. So this process may be time consuming, but it is far shorter and cheaper than Freudian analysis, and it does work. So if you can't afford a therapist, you could try this with a trusted friend, with a family member, etc. I feel blurry. So yeah, just be careful. Be careful in what you do. Alright, where did I go? Alright, the second step is the easiest and most fun. The O in I.O.B stands for objectify. So the idea here is to build up an image which represents what you have identified. This can be any form, although it should preferably be capable of life. Thus a rock would be as good for this technique as would an elf or a dog or the image of a demon. Let's assume that you have determined that one of the things which you wish to rid yourself of is hard-headedness, the inability to change. In this step we want to objectify the hard-headedness, make it into a thing. We can put up any image, but for our purpose here, let us give it a somewhat human appearance. Its face must have firmly chiseled features, and he, let's make it a male, has an army helmet on. His eyes are steel gray. He is tall and strong, but the joints of his legs and hips do not work, so his strength is useless. He is wearing a steel gray jumpsuit. Ooh, that kind of sounds cool. And beneath it are seen hard muscles which never relax. Ooh, sounds like fibromyalgia. In fact, in some places the muscles look like nuts and bolts. Although it is hidden, it is possible to sense that he feels great pain because he can never relax. Must always be hard. So, there is a fear of not being right, etc. In this way, an image of hard-headedness is built up. So all of the things I mentioned are objectifications of the archetype of hard-headedness. If this happens to be an aspect of yourself which you wish to work on, you can start with what I have given and continue. What color is his skin and hair? Don't be limited by standard colors. Is he holding anything, doing anything? Now lastly, you're going to name your creation. So, you can use any name as long as it is not the same name of someone you know or know of. Again, it does not have to be the standard I, Gis, a hard G. In short, apical graflexor is an interesting and perfectly acceptable appellation. So spend some time making this image as concrete as possible in your mind. You may wish to draw it if you have some artistic abilities also. It does not have to be in human form. It can be shaped like a bizarre animal. In fact, it might even be better. So, once you have created this image, the next step is to give it life. Visualize the figure and do the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram around both you and the figure. If you have made a painting or sculpture of the image, use that as a focus for the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. So now, make the physical art creation and the mental image unite. Alright, so next do the middle pillar technique. When you sense the energy in the middle pillar, take a deep breath. With a full exhalation, send the life-giving, literally, energy down your arms and out your hands toward the figure which you have mentally created. If you have a physical representation of the image, send it toward that figure. Alright, so the B in I.O.B stands for banish. So this is the magical equivalent of exorcism. However, the process of banishment, though based on the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, is a little tricky because we are banishing an unwanted part of ourselves. Okay, now I'm really getting how dangerous this could be, but I doubt it. For some, yes, there's a great possibility. So, alright. Okay, so step 1. Purify the outside of yourself with a ritual bath as already described. Step 2. Do the relaxation ritual. You face east, sit down, let a ball of light, orange, come up your feet, relaxing your entire body all the way up to your top of your head. Step 3. If you have a picture or sculpture of your objectification, look at it for a few minutes. Then put the physical image away and work it up in your imagination. So if you have no physical image, simply mock it up in your imagination. So, I guess we could get images and pictures and, sigils would work through the subconscious, through the conscious. It all just flows and works. This is I've never ever, I didn't read this technique. Or I did, but I just don't remember, but it's really fascinating. Alright, so, step 4. As a part of your visualization, you should see a wispy cord or rope-like construction connecting you and the figure. It should be connected to both your bodies at the solar plexus, the umbilical cord. So, if it does not have a solar plexus, then it should be attached to the heart area or head. So remember, your visualization needs to be only as good as you can make it. It does not have to be perfect. In fact, if you are not good at visualizing things, simply know, not think or believe, but know that it is there, and that if your psychic vision were better, you would be able to see it. Alright, now step 5. You're going to take your dagger and cut the connecting cord close to your body. Now, if you do not have a dagger, use 2 fingers of your right hand as if you were a pair of scissors. So basically like this. You would just cut it, snip it. Now, step 6. Without a second's pause after step 5, make the sign of the Enterer. The left foot forward as the arms are thrust forward. Dagger or right finger along with the left forefinger pointing straight ahead, directly at the newly separated figure. At the same time, project a bright blue pentagram at the figure from your fingers and shout, "Name of object, be gone." This should cause the visualization to move sort of a distance away and stay there long enough for you to perform. Step 7, the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. So, when this is completed, the created figure should be outside of your protective circle. Make sure that there is no trace of the severed cord, which did exist between you and the figure. Interesting. Very interesting. Step 8. Determine which tool would be the appropriate weapon to destroy the figure. So here are some examples that he gives. Alright, so, for hard-headedness, unwillingness to change would be the chalice. For fickleness, the pentacle. For sloth, the wand. For lack of clear thinking, the dagger. Alright, so all the elements in one. As you can see, the appropriate tool represents the opposite qualities of what you wish to rid yourself. Water is always changing, so the chalice is a good weapon against unwillingness to change. The solidity of earth, as represented by the pentacle, is a good weapon against constantly changing the mind. The energy represented by the fire wand is a good weapon against laziness. And since air represents our higher faculties, air's tool, the dagger, is a good weapon against a lack of clear thinking. Interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. So, step 9. Point the appropriate weapon at the figure. Be sure to drink the contents of the chalice if it is filled. So the instructions for how to point the pentacle are to simply hold it by the black sections and face the concave side in the direction you wish to point. Okay, so that's pushing it back. Alright, now sections and face the concave side in the direction you wish to point. Pointing the wand and dagger are obvious. Hold the chalice by its stem or base with the section for holding fluid facing out, away from you. If you do not have the tools as of yet, just use the outward facing palms of your hands. Very simple. And then you're going to say, by the power and in the name of, you're going to vibrate this name, Sha Dai El Chai, the God name. I command you, you name your created image, to dissolve, vanish, depart, disappear. You are banished forever and may not return. So mote it be. So this must be said with authority, as if you were a mighty king or queen, talking to your lowliest subject. Remember, though, that is not, this is not you that you will destroy what you don't want, but the power of the divine going through you. So mote is an old English word meaning must. So it must be. So must it be. Step 10. Do the middle pillar ritual very briefly. I'm still worried about that one. Alright. Then, as in the circulation of the body of light, feel the energy come down from above, but this time direct it down your arms and out of your hands through the appropriate magical tool, if you're using one or if you have one. And then through the center of the pentagram in front of you. It must not go anywhere else. So here is a technique. It gives you a small image of a man or a woman with whatever they have created in their mind. So you guys can screenshot that. You guys can screenshot that part up here. So a very, very simple technique. Alright. Where'd I go? So yeah, the pentagram in front of you, it must not go anywhere else. So, and into your creation, visualize the energy getting stronger and the figure getting weaker and increasingly transparent. So, with each exhalation, the energy leaving you should be stronger and stronger until the created figure is totally overpowered and vanishes into nothingness. Continue this sending of energy in the name of divinity for at least a minute after the figure is totally destroyed. Alright, so, pretty good information, pretty good technique too. I will blog this for you guys. Now, step 11. Now you're going to hold your hands up in the air so that they form a large letter V. Venus, I always do that, so it's not going to be hard. If you used a magical tool, it should be in the right hand pointing up. Now look up and say, Hail unto thee, Lord of the universe. Hail unto thee, whom nature hath not formed. Not unto me, but unto thee be the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Okay. Step 12. Once again, do the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. Then visualize your magical circle fading from your attention, but know that it is still there. Now write down the results in your diary. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I love this technique. I love the pentagram. I love that. I love that technique. So, alright, now, the I.O.B technique can help you solve many of your problems. But remember, you are just a magician in training. A chef learning to cook does not always have his or her food come out perfectly. And your I.O.B technique might not or may not be perfect at first either. You may need to repeat this technique several times in order to rid yourself of something you do not want. If you have created or purchased an artistic version of your visualization, it should be totally destroyed after doing the I.O.B. So make sure you don't spend a lot of money. Don't waste your money. And if the problem is not succumbing to your work, go on to another aspect of your personality you wish to alter and come back to the previous problem later. So, it's quite simple. Quite simple. So, if you and the other members of your group practice the I.O.B technique regularly, it is possible that your group work your group will work harmoniously together. And if you want to work alone, your own work on the I.O.B technique will make you a better person. So, it's pretty interesting. I mean, very interesting stuff. Alright guys, tomorrow we will be going on to lesson 4. So, let's kind of do the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, make our pentacle, just like it showed us. We have gone over quite a bit of information so far. So, and then tomorrow I will be back with lesson 4. And I really hope you guys, I hope you guys enjoy this, especially with my commentary. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but, so yes, I will see you guys tomorrow. Happy Witchy Wednesday. We're going to have a great full moon coming, a really, really great full moon, so we could all do a group ritual if you wanted to. If you want to, let me know below. And I will see you all later. So, all my love, all the way from Venus, all the way back down. So, I will see you all tomorrow, hopefully. So, alright guys, I love you all and thank you for watching.